Welcome to the business of being healthy, where we are passionate about treating our health as good as we treat our wealth. Shelly Bryan here, and I am obsessed with sharing real life experiences and wisdom to help save you time, heartache, and money as you continue to grow personally and professionally. Twice a week, we push aside that BS to take massive intentional action. And I promise by tuning in, you will receive the straightforward talk you've been waiting for, filled with actionable steps that will inspire you to achieve the health and wealth you desire while you are building your empire. So last week, I had an incredible opportunity to speak with an amazing group of female business owners in the real estate industry. And if this is your first time to the show, I am so excited to have you here on the business of being healthy. We are spreading like real conversations and like real things to be able to help move you forward in both business and health without the BS. So I'm so glad that you're here because I know that you are probably one of my fellow community members that is kind of just like me, right? Like we just want to go kick ass and like stop worrying about all this other stuff. And at this talk, there was something said to me that I wanted to bring here on the show. And it was funny because while the talk was, of course, about, you could probably guess, business and health, right? I was really, setting them up, empowering them to strengthen their mindset, increase their abilities to be able to manage stress because it's not going away and can have a lasting effect on your body. And then last but not least, kind of gearing up that nutritional mindset. But that's not what this episode is about. Is that I pulled something so profound from a quick comment after that was from my introduction. And the comment was, I loved how you shared your background and showed that how it is okay to pivot in your career. And it just got me thinking because we like to hold this guilt. We like to hold this place or this badge of I've been in this career, or this is where my education is, or I went through all this specialized training, so I have to stay here. And it really hit home with me because I have felt this so many times in my career where I just felt completely ashamed because I was like, all of my training is this. I spent 16 years in this one industry. I can't leave it. This is the best industry. Like I can't, who am I to leave? And it was like trying something new was bad. And it made me a bad person for doing it. And I'm not really sure yet. In all transparency, here on the show, in all transparency, I'm not sure I know what bad means yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. And I still have these feelings. But today, I wanted to just share my background, what I shared with this amazing group of women with you. And I've alluded to this on a few different episodes, but I'm sharing it today because I'm not here to toot my horn. That's what this is not about. But I want to show you that making that pivot or that change in your career is not shameful, but powerful. And it is setting you up for your next level of success. These are experiences that we need to take to be able to grow, that we need to take to be able to reach those goals that we set upon ourselves. And so for those of you that are holding back and staying put for fear of changing, fear of what others might think, fear of shame because you have spent, $100,000 on an education, and this is what you have to do for the rest of your life, is that my hope by me sharing my experience, it gives you the courage to really dive in and decide, do I need to take a leap and change, or do I need to stay back? And what is holding me back? More often than not, it's probably the fear of not just what others think of you, but what one person might think of you. So let's get started here. Here goes. on a little bit of my background. Actually, not a little bit. You guys are going to get like the whole gist of it from out of college, and it's like crazy. So coming out of college, I worked as a financial advisor. I didn't know what else to do. And in my background, my father was a financial advisor. And I was like, I got a college education, like whatever. I didn't specialize like attorney, or I almost did. I almost went attorney route. I actually applied to law school, took the LSAT, like I was going and decided not to. And so then I went into financial advising. And in that role, I built an incredible book of business in 2.5 years. Starting from zero, I was managing $17 million by the time I was 24. I was like just shy of 24. And I made the dials. I got really good at selling. I could understand my potential client motivators to be able to help them with their financial goals. And the time period was a really rough time in the market. And so by focusing on managing risk rather than always managing reward, I helped a lot of people feel safe and actually be able to retire on time. That being said, I was in the office and I was in the bullpen to start, think about that. And then I moved into an office. That's like the prize. It's 100% commission based. So it was very important to obviously grow a book of business. I was making a really nice amount of money at a very young age. But I looked around the office one day, and it's an office of 50 brokers. I'm one of 4 women. And I was looking around, and you know what? It reminded me now of the scene. Now, this movie wasn't out, but if you've ever seen Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, when he's in the beginning scene and he's like got his like office, like bean counting job, and he goes up to sharpen his pencil and he looks out the window and there's like a full cemetery, gravestones, headstones, boom, 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 all in a line. And then he turns back and he looks at the office that he's working in and it's almost identical. And it was at that moment that he knew this was not meant for him. I had that same experience. Obviously, the movie visualizes it so much better now, but I had that same experience and I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And this is one of those times that you're in it. I've been very successful in it. Why would I leave? So many people couldn't hack it, didn't make it out of the training program. And I have my own office. Like I'm making great money at a young age. What am I doing? I could do this for the rest of my life. And I just knew I couldn't be in the office. I couldn't do this. And so I took a big, giant, scary leap and I went over to pharmaceutical sales. I left. I literally walked away. I did a full episode on this. I literally walked away from a $17 million book of business that I built by myself in 2.5 years. Crazy, right? Shelly, what the hell are you doing? Obviously, there was a lot of comments that came with that, but I went over to the pharmaceutical industry and I, again, was with one company for 13 years. And then I moved over to another company for, just shy of 3 years. And I was like, it was a great career. The training that I got, I was with billion-dollar drugs. I was able to, go on the trips, win the watches. The golden handcuffs were ridiculous. I had a base salary, which I never had before when I was a pharmaceutical plus commission. I was like, this is fantastic. I worked with great people. I worked with a lot of great doctors and providers, a lot that were maybe not so great. But that's okay. Like you have that in business. And I really built up my skills. I built up my leadership skills, the ability to train others, the ability to work with others, navigating that corporate ladder climb, which again, at the time as a woman in this industry was definitely, it definitely was more challenging and ultimately prevented me from being able to go up. I'll save that for another episode. But again, I got to this point where I got bored. I was really bored. And I thought by changing the company, I was with one company that was actually looking back, a great company, good culture, all of the good things. And then I thought, that's what I need is more money and maybe a little bit challenging position, but still within the same industry. So I jumped over to that company and it was a horrible, horrible culture. The pay was not worth it. So I'm the first one to say, don't go for the money. And I had to get out of it 100%. So I did what any like logical person that would do after having a booming career in the financial industry, a booming career in the pharmaceutical industry. I thought, why don't I just go open a restaurant with zero experience? What was I thinking? I bought into a franchise, and I was the first one bringing the franchise to my local market. I believed in the brand. And unfortunately, we had some fraud and misrepresentation from the franchisor. And in 11 months after opening, we had to shut it down. So talk about a gut punch. I had 2 successful careers in highly paying industries. And I jumped over to franchising, which I will save for another episode, but not something that I encourage if you are a true entrepreneur. Had to shut that down. So major fail, right? So pivot, huge pivot in careers, finance, pharmaceuticals, and sales, which they were both sales. And then on to the restaurant. Again, it's some sales, but a lot of leadership, and shut that down. At that time, it was actually very fortuitous because it was right before everything hit in 2020. And so I got to spend time with my kids at home. But let me tell you, as someone that has been out and about and growing her career and going for bigger things, that was one of the hardest pivots I ever made, was staying home. And it was looking back, what a blessing it was. But man, that was the toughest pivot I ever made. Then I thought it would be fun to start mentoring and coaching other women, which I did love, other high achieving women, really helping them be able to bring nutrition and health into their professional lives so that they could perform better at their job or their business. But you know what? I actually forgot one thing. And this is where this is all going to tie it together. Back in my early pharmaceutical, I got bored. And I thought it would be fun to start a job or start a business in that. So I started an online resource within the equine industry. If you know me, I ride horses within the equine industry, and it quickly became the #1 platform. But then I had other things going on, babies, all the things, and it kind of sat dormant. Well, once 2020 hit, I saw an opportunity to bring it back to life. And we turned it into this media organization that was focused on education and entertainment within that equine industry. So I'm doing this all at the same time. There's a lot of overlap here. And just last year, Chris and I went through all of our businesses, all of the things that we had going on, and we shut everything down because our focus was spread so thin that we were good at nothing. And ever since we did that, let me tell you how life has changed. No more coaching, no more mentoring, no more other businesses for Chris, no more media company, shut it all down. And now I am running this podcast, as well as Chris and I are running and managing our construction company. He has had it. I went all in on the company. It made the most sense. But now, hopefully you've been following along, right? Finance, pharmaceuticals, online space, because I, again, had no experience, but I knew I had some skills to be able to help there. Restaurant, being in hospitality, also bringing along my sales there. Then in the media and education space, then in the coaching, mentoring, and then also now adding on construction. Talk about going from like left field to right field to left field to right field to outfield to home. And each time it was hard because I had some of that shame on me. I had some of that, who am I making these changes? I have built these amazing careers. I've built these amazing businesses, and I keep changing. Now, one person, and there might be someone listening in, could be like, wow, Shelly, you probably just need to, you should be so happy. You shouldn't be making these changes. You should just commit to one and just go all in. And the one thing that I hate is the word should, because I should be doing what's best for me. And I can tell when it is time for me to pivot. And each time it gets easier. The shame that I held on myself for making big changes gets a little bit less. My concern about what others think of me gets a little bit less. It's not gone, but it's a little bit less. And I can sit here confidently saying to you today, and this is why I'm sharing this, is that all of those changes lead you to your future self, and all of those experiences are necessary. At the end of that talk that I gave, I had the most beautiful woman inside and out come up and talk with me on the side for a moment. She is in something new and feels a little lost, and she's stressed. And that was one of the topics we were talking about, stress. And she's stressed because she's not performing at the level like she used to in her previous position. Anyone else hear that? I've been there. That new period is the toughest because you suck. Typically, when you make a change, you're probably at your A game and you're like feeling like a badass. And then all of a sudden you go into something new and you suck for a little bit. That's a hard place for high achievers to be in. Yet when we spoke further, I uncovered more of her past. And you know what? She's just like me. She has been in this position before. That new area where you suck for a little bit and then you figure it out. And then with time, just like all of us, we get better and better. And so by actually uncovering a little bit of her past, talking it out loud, I showed her that she has been here before and that she has the experiences from her past as proof that she can succeed in this new role that she has taken on. And you too have that. Each time you've pivoted in your career where you were concerned about whatever else, you maybe held shame like I did, like concerned about other people like me, but you are gathering more proof. You are gathering more experiences for your future self. And so again, by me sharing this today, my whole goal is to show you that you can make the change. If you aren't happy, don't stay there. Don't be like Hugh Jackman looking out the window at grave sites, at headstones, knowing that that's his future. That is not a place to be. The scary, sucky new, shameful, worried about what other people think of you, that is the strength. By taking that leap, your future self will thank you for those experiences that you gain. And so I know this so well, like I just shared all my experience, that I actually dissected my thought process at a very deep level. And I put it into a free tool. And this is my 3-step process to really help you find out if it's time to pivot in your career. It might not be. Trust me, there were more times I thought about it, especially over that 16-year span in the pharmaceutical industry, that I thought about it, that I didn't take the leap. But this was my process to be able to get to that decision. And so I'm going to link this in the notes so that you can go download this free tool. It's absolutely for you, but it will help you get to your decision, whatever that decision may be. But I can't reiterate enough is that no matter what decision you make, by not taking the leap and or taking the leap, it's still a decision. And either way, your future self will thank you for the experiences that you are making, the proof that you are building up, that each time you suck in something new, you will get better and you will get better faster. And I just hope that if this hit you, or if you know a friend that is in this position right now, because I know a couple of them, is that you maybe share this episode with them. One, to let them know it's okay to change. Look at Shelly. She did it multiple times, multiple industries, and I'm here. And I wouldn't be successful without the experiences of my past and making those changes. Thank you so much. And be sure to know that we are in the business of being healthy here.